Many of us know of the great German powers. There was Austria, Prussia, perhaps even Bavaria, sometimes regarded as the third great power of Germany. But there was also a fourth power, the small state of Frussia. While Prussia was a Protestant power and Austria a Catholic power, Frussia was a unique Orthodox power situated in the center of the German Confederation and its precursor, the Holy Roman Empire. Frussia was a relatively young state whose culture owes its origins to an amalgamation of old Frankish and Russian identities, and while it held great potential, it was ultimately subsumed by its larger rivals, and its history destroyed by the Knights Templar. But what if that changed? What if in an alternate timeline, Germany was united by Frussia? Hello audience, Mr. Z here with another alternate history scenario for you. If you're new to the channel, welcome. We have videos like this every week, so be sure to subscribe and stay tuned. But first, give Mr. Z a moment to talk about probably one of his favorite things, and something I think will make a perfect gift for your friends and family this holiday season. You know what I'm talking about, the Ridge wallet. It's been a long time since we've talked about our pals over at Ridge, but I tell you I still haven't gotten tired of my Ridge wallets, and they've never failed to catch some attention. Just to remind you guys, Ridge wallet is made out of durable RFID blocking materials, holds up to 12 cards, and has plenty of room for cash whether you're using their money clip or the cash strap. And still manages to be slimmer than your average leather wallet. Not to mention these things look great and they've added a bunch of new colors and designs since the last time we've talked about them, plus you can now customize your wallet to give it an extra bit of personal flair. This is a pretty nifty feature too, but maybe I'm just a little too old-fashioned for it. You can get this swell little air tag to attach to your wallet and never lose it again. Now get this, they make more than just wallets now, with probably their most famous new product being their compact key case that'll hold up to 6 keys in a convenient case without them jingling all around. And yeah, you can get in all sorts of colors and designs, plus if you bundle your key case and Ridge wallet, you'll get up to 30% off. Every Ridge product is backed by a lifetime warranty and a 99-day risk-free trial period. If you aren't completely satisfied, send it back within 99 days for a full refund. Hear me out folks, Ridge is having a holiday sale right now and you can take advantage of this discount, but only if you follow my link in the description below. That's ridge.com/Mr. Z, and when you use that link you'll be able to enter for a chance to win a Ridge merchandise bundle worth $4,000. Let's give a big thank you to our favorite brand for sponsoring this video. Now without further ado, let's get back to it. A cultural remnant of West Francia within what eventually became Germany or the Holy Roman Empire, Frussia, then known as Little Francia, endured as a distinct entity whose policy was often dictated by its needs to protect itself from further Germanization. When the Great Schism occurred, the Catholic Holy Roman Empire had sought to make a gesture of goodwill toward the Orthodox East and offered to Byzantium and the Rus people an attractive fiefdom adjacent to the lands of Little Francia. While few Byzantines took up the offer, a great deal of Rus settlers soon arrived, and in a few years the Rus population had far outnumbered the neighboring Frankish population and had almost protectively encircled the original settlement of Little Francia. As the years wore on, tensions would soon rise between the Rus settlers and the surrounding Germans, as failure to alleviate the divisions of the schism, not to mention a failure of the Rus to assimilate to the dominant German culture, had put the settlement of Roman Rus in peril. This shared struggle against the surrounding German states soon led to greater cooperation between the more populous Roman Rus and the wealthier Little Francia. Pooling their resources, the two agreed to establish vast fortifications around the borders of Roman Rus and forged a single kingdom through a marriage of the Rus princess to the prince of Little Francia. Thus emerged the Kingdom of Frussia. Alas, the first Kingdom of Frussia, following decades of animosity spurred on by cultural differences, collapsed and saw partition by its neighbors. The lands and people of Frussia were Germanized, but the Orthodox faith endured. It wouldn't be until the rise of Napoleon that Frussia was given new life. Napoleon, seeking to create a new European order of nation-states, recognized the distinctiveness of the Prussian people and their lack of a state within the German Confederation. Rectifying this, Napoleon re-established the Kingdom of Frussia within the Confederation of the Rhine and placed it under a pro-Napoleonic Orthodox king. When the wars were over and Napoleon stood defeated, Frussia refused to simply cease its existence. A sense of Prussian nationalism had been awoken within the country, and quite soon it would become the chief advocate of German nationalism across the newly established German Confederation. While the Prussians would ultimately be suppressed by the conservative efforts of Clemens von Metternich in Austria, it wouldn't be until the rise of Prussia and the Zollverein that Prussia's influence finally waned. But this time, things are different.
Not seeking to sour ties with Russia, who had just recently declared itself protector of all Orthodox Christians across Europe and the Middle East, Austria never assumes a hostile position towards Frussia and allows them to continue amassing support for German nationalism across southern Germany, soon building an economic and defensive bloc which included Bavaria, Baden, and Württemberg, increasing its wealth and might. Recognizing that Germany was growing increasingly competitive, Frussia would seek a more direct alliance between itself and Russia based in their shared Orthodox faith as a check against Austria. The Russians, not seeing their alliance with Austria as viable in the long term given their conflicting geopolitical ambitions in the Balkans, forges a secret pact with Frussia to invade Austria in the event of a war between the two. Frussia would still face another threat in the form of Prussia to the north, who is quickly consolidating their influence across northern Germany, though fortunately for the Prussians, they managed to find a mutual rival to Prussia in the form of France. The French and Prussians, bonding over their shared history and Napoleon's role in reviving the kingdom, also form a secret alliance, the French becoming patrons of the Prussian kingdom as a check against both Austria and Prussia. When the Austro-Prussian War broke out, Frussia just stood by and watched as its greatest rivals destroyed each other, ultimately driving Austria to the fringes of German politics. And when the Franco-Prussian War broke out shortly after, the Prussians were shocked by Prussia's entry into the war, forcing them to fight on two fronts. The war ends up ending in a Franco-Prussian victory, and seeing Prussia excluded from Germany as well, forced to relocate its capital back to Königsberg in the Far East.
Left as the sole great power of Germany, Frussia proceeds to unify the German states with the exception of Prussia and Austria into a great German empire. An empire closely aligned with both France and Russia, often regarded as its mother and father nations. Peace was finally achieved on the European continent, but of course we know there's one country that could not allow that to happen. For the countries of continental Europe liked peace a lot, but Britain, who lived just north of Europe, did not. Britain hated peace the whole peace season, but don't ask why, no one quite knows the reason. But perhaps the most likely reason of all was that their land was just two sizes too small. As a continental order emerged between these three powers aimed at creating a unified bloc, a European economic and military alliance as a parallel to Britain's empire, the British began shoring up potential checks against the alliance. Already Britain had been in the process of propping up the Ottomans to prevent Russia's expansion to the Balkans and Middle East. Persia too stood as an essential British proxy in Central Asia. Now Prussia and Austria would join the ranks of Britain's petty allies, while in the Far East the newly modernized Japan was being groomed to become the Britain of the Asian Pacific and a check against Russia in the Far East. The Americans too were coming into their own as a great global power, but without the threat of aggression and expansion from a Prussian-led Germany, the greatest threats to American ambitions as perceived by the United States would be the rising prevalence of the British and Japanese navies in the Atlantic and Pacific, not the continental might of the new alliance. The scramble for Africa never quite occurs as it did in our world, as without the Berlin Conference there would instead be a series of small-scale colonial conflicts primarily between Britain and France. The new state of unified Italy joins the alliance in a mutual effort to further weaken Austria, eventually leading to its partition between Italy, Russia, and Frussia. Similar would occur in the Ottoman Empire and lead to the joining of Greece to the alliance. Britain's support to the Ottomans utterly breaking whatever support for Britain remained within Greece and leading them to support the fellow Orthodox states of Russia and Frussia. In a matter of time, the whole of Europe, with but a few exceptions, would be part of the European alliance, standing as both an economic and military equal to Britain's empire. But what do you think? What might have happened had Frussia unified Germany? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Whew. Well now, that was certainly something. I tell you, I was talking with Josh Sullivan History the other day, and, he was talking about France and Prussia, or France and Russia, and I just started saying to myself, yes, Frussia. And just gradually this idea came together of there being an ancestral Frankish Russian land. And yeah, now we have this video. So yeah, sorry to disappoint, but unfortunately Frussia doesn't really exist, except in our hearts. As always, like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more. Mr. Z, out.